when I did my podcast last week, I spoke about a debate on Democracy Now. They have an excellent debate series where people were debating the merits of Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders during the convention and before the convention, and then immediately after the convention. Where they interviewed several individuals and they were talking about those things. And I want to cut to just speak about a couple of the talking points that really stuck out in my mind. Now that the nomination process is over for the Democratic Party, I want you guys to take specific notice that we aren't even talking about Democratic issues anymore. It seems to me we're locked in an eternal debate about people's character. And it seems like we're stuck in that, and we haven't really had a chance to have any of the real conversations that we would really like to have, specifically in regards to policy. Now, the conversations we do have are conversations where you'll find a lot of crossover and a lot of agreement, particularly with Hillary Clinton and, a lot of the establishment Republicans. There's a lot of agreement when it comes to foreign policy. So we get that thrown in our faces a lot. And then the disagreements will come on social issues or the tidbits that somebody has said here and there, and we kind of get locked into that. But I want to specifically talk about something that was said in that debate. In the debate, the Hillary Clinton supporter made the argument that Hillary Clinton has centered her politics on working on behalf of families and women. I really want that to sink in, that these are the type of justifications that we were getting to support this person as a Democratic nominee. Now, she's a Democratic nominee. I haven't heard her say anything about families and women and children outside of her, we need to have more women in executive positions. That's about the extent of her feminism, so to speak. And I think that is absolutely horrible. But on top of that, we get this high minded rhetoric, but we're supposed to take that rhetoric at face value and then ignore her past. And her past has been very, very, very problematic in regards to both women and children. Specifically, when you're talking about the welfare reform, temporary assistance for needy families, it was changed to. It was changed from welfare to TANF under President Bill Clinton, and that cut the welfare rolls in half. And a lot of people that were thrown out were women and their dependent children. But somehow, when she has a history of doing things like this, she is still somehow a warrior on behalf of women and children. And I think this really goes to the broader problem that we're having now, in that we let the punditry and the media circus kind of paint a picture of what someone is as opposed to what they really are, if that makes any sense. What I'm trying to say here is, I remember in 2008, Barack Obama said that Ronald Reagan was one of the most transformational presidents that he had ever seen, and he was somebody that he would look to kind of emulate. And I was like, why is he saying that? Ronald Reagan was not a great president. Why is there so much media circus about how great he was and how he brought this morning in America and all of this? There was a guy I used to work with, and he was an older guy. He's probably in his 50s, and he's old school, and he goes, I remember when Ronald Reagan was president. And he goes, I remember when he was talking then, and I looked around and I said, this crap sucks. This is not good. And then when he was president, when he was running for president, he said that. And then when he was president, he was like, this is absolutely horrible. And nobody else seemed to recognize what was happening. And as people that were around during that time, their memories fade. And, of course, we all naturally expire after a certain amount of time, right? After we all begin to pass on, that history of what actually went on and what people actually thought about that time, that history is lost. And so when that history is lost, people can come in and they can start, kind of rewriting it or reimagining it or putting it on in all these different narratives in there that kind of make it seem like it's something when it really isn't. And I mean, you can just take issue after issue, redefining what liberalism is, redefining what a liberal is, redefining what democracy is, redefining what progressive is. These are all things that are happening before our very, very eyes. And I really want us to take a second and just look at what has happened in just 3 months. We have a woman here who has centered her politics on women and children, who has been moved to the left by Bernie Sanders. But now that she has become the nominee and that threat is averted, what happened to all the leftward movement that she did? Where is it? I haven't seen any of it. I've heard something about calling Trump a racist, and that's it. I haven't heard anything about actually trying to improve the lives of people in any type of specific or meaningful way. I just hear, general, this is going to be better because a racist can't win, or this is going to be better because someone who speaks like that should not be president, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. I should be president. It's like, well, what are you talking about? All I've heard you talk about is him. I haven't heard you identify your plan for America. I haven't heard anything like that. I haven't heard all of this, progressive movement that she's done. I haven't heard any talk of that at all. I remember when she had the ambitious climate change plan. What happened to that? It's gone. I haven't heard anything about that ever since she made it out of the primary. They haven't talked about climate change. And then the top aides for Hillary Clinton have said that they've basically tabled that issue. That issue will not receive any attention by the Clinton administration. That is already what we have on record from top aides. They're not trying to push any type of ambitious legislation. And even the legislation that she had was still not even anywhere near what we need. And I'm not really going to get into that, but I'm just going to say the legislation she had, which was so bold and progressive, really wasn't what we needed to begin with. And they're not even willing to go up there and fight and lose for it. They just already abandoned that. I haven't heard anything about, bringing these financial institutions to heel and how she was going to be tough on the banks. And I haven't heard any of that rhetoric at all. That's gone. Where is it? Where is it? Where's that rhetoric? Where is raising taxes and beginning to pay for things that we need to have done? Where is that? It's not there. And so rather than trying to figure out why it's not there, trying to read her mind, I'm just going to basically talk about the Democratic Party and basically what that faction, I'm going to split it out into factions. First off, I'm going to split it off into factions. And then I want us to do a little bit of reflection.